Today we're talking about my favorite cozy games lately. Yes, this is normally a Sims channel, but today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I guess The Sims is a cozy game, well not really, it can actually be quite hectic and chaotic. So today we're taking a break from all of that. Also, I just want to say this video is not full of those like farming games. There are a couple that I really enjoy. I'm just a little bit sick and tired of the cozy farming simulation games. So I've tried to make this list not chock-a-block full of them. Anyway, first we are looking at Tiny Glade. Honestly, I don't even know if you would call Tiny Glade a game really. It's more just like a modeling thing. Like you make house models. You just drag your mouse around the screen and you can just pull and push things in any kind of way. It's just full of paintbrushes. There's no like intricate detailing. There's no management or any kind of complicated mechanics. In fact, there's no mechanics at all really. You just have a little set, kind of a bit like a diorama, and you just build things in it, and it's just like a really satisfying cozy game to play. You can change the season in Tiny Glade, and they also have like daily themes that change. I think it's a little bit too calm for my ADHD brain maybe, but even though I don't think it's stimulating enough for me, I really wanted to put it in here because it's just really cute and fun, and I haven't really seen anything like it before, and I think it's really clever, all the different kinds of things you can build. Next up, we are looking at My Time at Sandrock. This one has been out for a while now, but I really like it. It's the second entry in the My Time of series, and you're basically living in like a desert land. Is that what you call it? Like a desert, and it is one of those farming simulation games with all of the mechanics like the dating and the pets and the mines that you go in. Like it's one of those, but it feels really unique. A big part of this game is that you actually need to reserve water because obviously it's like dry land and they're trying to make it better again, but you can't actually cut down the trees that produce like the water. Well, you can, but it puts you in a negative relationship with everyone. So you have to get it in roundabout ways and it can be really difficult. There's a lot of things to think about actually. In addition to water management, you've also got fuel management. Gardening is a nightmare because there's no water. There's a lot of different mechanics, and even like when you want to access the mines, you actually have to like pay a weekly rental fee. You also have to pay a weekly rental fee for a horse. In addition to that, you've got to worry about like your town rating by doing all of these different tasks daily for the different inhabitants. There's also an overarching main story quest, which I do think is quite engaging. There's also combat in this game with guns, so it's not your like total perfect cozy Stardew Valley knockoff. This is why I put it in here, because it actually feels quite unique and different. When you do first start, it can be a little bit overwhelming because of all the different mechanics, but you do get used to it after some time, and then you can spend more time doing other things like dating. Yes, there are a few hot deals in this game. I did double check. I do think the game is a bit rough around the edges. The fighting could be a little bit more intricate and tactical, but in all, I think the My Time series in general is better for the keen cozy gamers who are looking for something a little bit more challenging in the genre. There are some bugs and invisible walls and console controls are bad, but I genuinely don't think it's a bad game. There's also the upcoming My Time at Evershine game as well, so I think the whole series is generally quite good to look into if you're into those kinds of Stardew Valley like games. Next up, we are looking at Fabledom. Fabledom is really cool. It's a city management game, but it's a little bit more simplified, so you don't have to worry. It's not like City Skylines. There's no like intricate management of all this stuff. It kind of strips it back to basics, but it is still quite complex at the same time. There is a challenge to it. I would say Fabledom is more about the aesthetics, which I think is why it suits the title of being more of a cozy game. There are 4 different difficulty levels as well, depending on how you want to go about it. And as far as I'm aware, each map, I believe, is a different random seed, kind of like Minecraft. So like each time you play is different. You focus on obviously building houses, but you've also got to build things like farms. And then if you've got a farm, you've then got to build a silo for the wheat. And then you've got to make a bakery to bake the bread with the wheat, and and you can build basically any kind of medieval or fantasy building that you can think of, and you go through the different hierarchies of like peasant all the way up to noble, and there's mythical elements which are really cool. There's a sandbox mode. It's not perfect. I think there needs to be a lot more like aesthetic items and decorations. There were some like random small glitches that pissed me off. Like there was this annoying blue outline on my farm and like I couldn't get rid of it. Although overall, I feel really positive about Fabledon. I think it's great value for money because it's very cheap and I don't think you'll get bored of it quickly. It's the kind of thing that you can just chill out on whilst watching a movie or something else at the same time. 100% I would recommend it. This is probably like my favorite one. I probably should have put it in like first place. This list isn't very structured, I'm sorry. If it was structured, I would have put this one in first place because I actually think Fabledon is a lot of fun. Next up, we have Coral Island. This game gets so many updates and they never seem to stop adding new features. Honestly, I don't even know what they've added anymore because there's a lot. I think the underwater update with the mermaids was probably the best. This is another Stardew Valley-like game, but it takes it up to like a whole new level. Firstly, we need to address the data balls. This is honestly the horniest cozy game I've ever seen. The farming side of it isn't too intricate and honestly almost kind of plays like a backline. There is a huge main overarching story. In fact, there's multiple different stories. One thing I was miffed about is that the 1.0 release, the story wasn't finished. I feel like the main story quest kind of needs to be finished by 1.0, but they didn't. But in general, the whole game is such a vibe. It's kind of about island conservation, but there's also even some fantasy elements in it too. When it comes to like all of the farming simulation games, Coral Island is probably my favorite one just because of how many features it has and all the different things that you can do in it and how sexy it is. So if you haven't picked it up yet, because I know a lot of you already have, I definitely recommend giving it a try. There are still some things that need to be fixed. Like the character creator is absolutely abysmal. The fact that the character that you create looks absolutely like gross around all of these hot villagers on the island, it's an absolute abomination. Honestly, if they fix that, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Otherwise, it's a 9 out of 10. I love it. So next up, we are talking about Monkey Island. You guys probably haven't heard of this and you're probably looking at the B-roll footage and thinking such like, what the hell is this? This is such a unique game concept that existed in like the 90s, but isn't much of a thing anymore. It's a story-focused game where you click around the screen interacting with different objects in different ways and you've got to complete the story doing it this way. You might say it's a puzzle game just because the way it is, you've got to solve different puzzles and they're often solved in the most random of ways. I would say Monkey Island is kind of like the straight male version of a cozy game. Most of you who watch my videos are females and homosexuals, so maybe you won't resonate with that, but I 100% think you need to give it a try. There's a whole series of them. You don't actually have to start with the first one, really. It doesn't matter too much. It's got quite a unique sense of humor. It's not very woke. As you may have already guessed, it's kind of like a pirate game in the Caribbean. It's just such a vibe. So if you're looking for a rich, straight white man cozy game, then I definitely recommend giving them a go. And they're often really, really cheap on sale too. They're on sale all the time. You can get the whole collection really cheaply. Next up, we are talking about Dress to Impress. Yes, of course I'm talking about Dress to Impress in a cozy video game video. I guarantee you, I'm the only YouTuber in world history to put Dress to Impress in a top list of cozy video games. You guys don't understand until you play it. I know Roblox is like a kid's game and like the Roblox, they kind of look like Playmobil characters, like Lego, like it looks ridiculous, but you guys just need to hop onto Dress to Impress if you haven't already. It's just a dress up game, but it's so much more. If you don't know what it is, every single round you have a different theme and you have about 5 minutes to dress up in the theme and you can layer different clothes on top of each other in different ways. It's actually really, really creative and really, really fun. I feel like if you haven't played Dress to Impress already, you're missing out. Sometimes it's not so cozy. It can be quite frustrating when you're playing with 8-year-olds and they don't understand the theme and nobody votes for you even though you're the only one who did follow follow the theme and you can get a little bit toxic, but in general, I just think it's really fun. Next up, we are talking about Bloons Tower Defense 6. I feel like I'm in my straight era. I feel so straight right now because this is another rich straight white man cozy game. Who said cozy games have to be non-violent? In Bloons Tower Defense 6, there's a track and balloons attempt to cross the track and ruin your monkey kingdom. So you have to deploy monkey towers. These could be dart shooters to pop the balloons. They could be bombers. They could be magic monkeys. You guys think I'm like going off on one here. You're thinking like, Satch, what the hell are you talking about? I genuinely play this game like every night before I go to sleep. It's such a cozy game. You don't understand until you've played it. And it's free, by the way. If you have Netflix, it is a pay for app and it is worth the money because there's no microtransactions in it. There's no DLC. There's nothing. You don't pay anything with real money, not at all. But if you do own Netflix, if you have the Netflix app on your phone, you can actually get the game for free. So even though you have to pay for it, you can still get it for free from Netflix. I told you, like, this is not your typical cozy game video. I'm giving you some ones that you've never heard of before. I feel like a lot of people have heard of Bloons Tower Defense 6, but a lot haven't. So I really wanted to showcase it because I actually think it's technically a cozy game. Next up, we are talking about Storyteller. This is such a fun game concept. In Storyteller, you get storyboard squares and you have to complete the story by putting different characters in them or putting different scenes in the correct order. And you have to do all the scenes in the correct way, although you can sometimes do it in a slightly different way or a clever way and get a different outcome. It's really, really cool. I've never, ever seen a video game like this before in my life. And you can get this one on PC, but also you can get it on your phone. And even though it is a pay for experience, you can, again, at least in the UK, you can get it for free on Netflix. So if you have the Netflix app on your phone, go in the games bit and you can download Storyteller for free. Even if you do have to pay for it, it's still really, really good. And again, there's no microtransactions, no DLC. It's just a perfect well-rounded game experience. It's the kind of thing that you probably want to play in bed just before going to sleep or something. And just a very unique experience you've probably never had before in a video game. And if you guys are looking for any cozy games or any video games for that matter, make sure you get them from Instant Gaming, where you can get them incredibly cheaply. I will put the links in the description of this video. Thank you very much to Instant Gaming for sponsoring. Let me know what you thought of my cozy video gaming list. I've tried to make it feel different to other cozy video game compilations that you may have seen before and talk about some other things that you may not have known that I personally really enjoy. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I will see you in the next one.